Okay. So, as Mara said, I am the Market Center Administrator for the 2 locations, but obviously I work in the network, and anytime I do one of these guys, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that you can use me as a resource, even if you're not one of my 2 locations. I'm happy to help and answer any questions that you have. My world is really focused and dialed in on your experience, along with anything financial or commission related. So I'm going to drop my information in the chat box, and that way, anytime you guys ever have a question about anything commission related, or if you have some command struggles, even if I don't know the answer, I usually know who does. So if you're not even sure who to go to, I'm usually a good place to start. So my information is now in the chat box. And again, even if you're at a different location, feel free to save that. I'm here to help you. So today we're going to do Embrace Your Job. Next slide. Okay, so yesterday, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was 2 days ago, you guys discussed the value proposition of being part of Keller Williams. And so today, in the second session, where we go over Embrace Your Job, we're going to cover the key priorities in real estate that you have as an agent, and discuss what it takes to become a great agent. And before we begin, has anybody encountered, I know you kind of already did your accountability, did anybody encounter any challenges with that you want to get out of today's class? You're allowed to say no. This is the easy one, but the next time when I start calling on people, I will wait until someone says something. So let's move on. Today, we're going to go over the 6 core competencies of a business, recognizing your role as a fiduciary for clients, which is the difference between fiduciary and facilitating. And then we're going to review the success system, recap, ahas, and all of that stuff. By the end of today, you'll be able to apply the 6 core competencies of a business, and you will recognize your role as fiduciary. And we're going to start thinking about what you're going to learn today. Kind of consider what questions that you might have and what you'd like to learn more about. I'm going to go ahead and give everybody 4 minutes to think about your questions and what you'd like to learn more about today. Most of your questions will be answered in today's class, but I do want you to go ahead and write those down so that when we get to the end of class, if those haven't been answered, I can either answer them or get you in touch with the person who can. So just take a couple minutes for that. All righty, so we're going to go ahead and move on. All righty, so The most important part, what excites you guys about being a real estate agent the most? I want to maybe hear from two people if I can.
I think helping people with the biggest transaction in their life.
Yeah, it's a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
I would say for me, it's like a treasure hunt. Each time you're trying to find something a little bit different, a little bit new for each client. It's always something different. It's like a treasure hunt, trying to find the perfect house for someone.
Absolutely. You like puzzles, don't you?
I love them. Yes.
Oh, me too, girl. Heard.
For me, it is also being able to manage your own schedule. I appreciate it's a lot of work, but you manage your own schedule and you make all the decisions yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, freedom and running your own schedule is huge. Dee, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of components for me. I think that, just the opportunity for wealth building in real estate is just really awesome. And then also just being a well-trained agent and knowing that I'm able to do the right thing for people, so that, like if I'm out there doing the right thing and the agents that are with Keller Williams are so well educated, people have a better chance at having a great successful transaction.
Yeah,
because we're well-trained good agents.
absolutely. And we're all in this together, right? We all want, we want to do the best for our clients, but we want everyone to come out winning. Part of Keller Williams' motto is win, win, or no deal. And if we have KW agents out there, it just makes everything run smoother. And you guys are at the fun part. You all went to school and you learned all of the how to not get sued part of real estate. So now we get to learn how to run a business and have fun with it. Alrighty, so having a career in real estate can be extremely rewarding, and being an agent gives you the opportunity to support someone in making one of the most important decisions of their life, which we did talk about, building relationships with others and living a big life yourself. Behind the big results of a successful real estate career are daily activities and habits. The steps are small, but they all lead back to a big life for you. And we talk about this a lot, where we say that the actions that you take today, you won't really see the payoff or the benefit of those until 45 to 60 days, because that's the average length of a transaction. And so the activities that you do today are extremely important in how successful you will be 45 to 60 days down the road. You're not going to see it immediately, but it's about planting the seeds. So now we're going to talk about the day-to-day activities of all successful real estate agents, otherwise known as the 6 core competencies of a business, which actually come from Gary Keller and his team's book, Shift. The 6 core competencies of a business are the priorities you must focus on as you run and grow your business. Incorporating the 6 core competencies in your business activities can lead to your success as an agent and business owner when implemented at a high level. Alrighty, welcome to your new job, guys. You're all in sales now. You are an independent business person, and it's important to understand the components of this job. Essentially, you're it. There's no, oh, go ask Tim over in accounting. There's no, oh, go ask my marketing person over there. It's just you. There's an appropriate saying, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. So now in your participant guide, you will see the 6 core competencies of a business listed, which also comes from Shift, like we talked about. Competency number 1 is lead generate, capture, and convert appointments. The reason why this is so important to start with is because not every lead and not every appointment is going to turn into a sale. So it's a lot of real estate, and any sales job is just a numbers game. Competency number 2, present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. That's where it turns into money. Number 3, show buyers and market sellers. Number 4, write and negotiate contracts. Number 5, coordinate the sale to closing. And number 6, manage the money. And we reviewed the overall path of Ignite, and you can see that we will cover all of these competencies as you move throughout the program, and we build on each one as we go. Running a successful business involves engagement in all 6. All right, lead generate. This first competency is your first priority. After all, if you have no leads, you have no business. You must have leads to sustain a thriving business, which is what you all signed up for, right? So we're going to break it down now. You will learn, and it will be repeated over and over and over again, that your number one job is lead generation. It's the daily practice of talking to people about buying and selling real estate. And one thing that I find very interesting, even though I'm not an agent, I work on the back end of things, but what I find interesting is even not being an agent myself is how organically that conversation can come up. I can't even tell you how many times I've talked to some random person standing in line at the grocery store who's like, oh yeah, I might be buying or selling my house right now. And you just don't even think about it, but you can have those conversations anywhere, really. And the next is capturing, which is about obtaining accurate contact information, which is, of course, name, phone number, email, home address, and any other data that person is willing to divulge to you. Capturing also means adding new people to your database so you can converse with them and provide value. And it's really important when you are capturing the leads information that you capture as much as possible, because at KW, one of our biggest values is our technology, and our technology works more for you with the more information that you give it. So if you are only going around getting phone numbers from your leads, then you can't do direct mail or postcards. That makes it kind of difficult. If you don't get people's emails, then you can't set them up for a mailing list of some kind. So the more information, the more tools that we have to help you be successful. Another important component of lead generation and capture is that you ask for permission to stay in contact with each person. You'll learn more about the importance of this step as we explore lead generation later in Ignite. There's quite a few lead generation specific courses. So, and then finally, converting to appointment. Capturing leads is great, but the ultimate goal is to find active buyers and sellers and set an appointment to meet and agree to work together in the buying or selling of real estate. And remember, we are learning and building on each new skill as we advance through the entire course of Ignite. So we're kind of doing an overview today, but this is why it's important to attend every session and to complete the course. Does anybody have any questions about lead generation? Ooh, there's no ceiling on growth. I like that, Caitlin. Sorry, I just saw that. All righty, moving on. The second core competency is to present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. This core competency is about your skill during the appointment with the buyer or the seller. Presenting to buyers means going through the buyer consultation document, which outlines the entire buying process and all the steps you take to assist the buyer in the process. You will also address any questions or concerns that they have at this time. Presenting to the seller is similar. You go through the entire listing presentation document with them, which outlines the entire selling process, including the marketing that you will provide, along with all the steps you take to assist them in the sale of their house, whether you take photos for them free of charge and it's included in your agreement, or if you host a minimum of 2 open houses, whatever that may be. You're the business owner, you can decide, but this is where you would go over it. And then you also would go over the expected outcome of both of these presentations. And hopefully your client, whether buyer or seller, will sign an exclusive agreement to work with you. You'll learn all you need to be able to be successful and be able to present in order to get a signed agreement later in the course. Alrighty, and then the third competency is about showing buyers and marketing listings for sellers. Showing buyers is all about the understanding of the needs of the buyer and selecting houses for them to experience with you. Marketing sellers translates to marketing their house in the best possible light and via the most channels to ensure that as many potential buyers as possible see it and are interested in it. This is the fun part when it comes to getting some homeowners to clean up their house in order to take some listing photos. Yes, it matters. This will also be covered in more detail as well. Has anybody here seen some horrendous photos on Zillow where it's like, and you're trying to sell that? Did you clean up at all? Like 5 minutes? Anyway, I'm surprised sometimes. That's all I gotta say. And the fourth competency is writing and negotiating contracts. This is a big responsibility and one that many new agents are concerned about and anxious about completing their first contract accurately, especially because you do 150 hours of real estate school on how to not get sued. So that first contract is a little nerve-wracking. However, negotiating is another competency that requires practice. It's time over task, and it's just going to take practice, and you have to go into it with a win-win mindset. Fortunately, you guys are in productivity coaching, so through those first 6 transactions, if you need to call Mara and Aaron every 20 minutes, like, they've got your back. And that's the purpose of why we have this program, is to help you to make sure that those first 6 that could be really, really scary go as smooth as possible. The fifth competency is about getting the deal all the way to closing, where the buyer gets the new keys to their home or the seller releases the home to the buyers and you get paid. Keep in mind that not all deals make it to close for a variety of reasons. It takes skill, and that's why it's one of your core competencies. You never know. There are a million reasons under the sun why something could fall through. We literally had one of our agents had it was a buyer who backed out on the day of closing just because they got a bad feeling. Nothing happened, nothing went wrong, inspection was fine. So there's only so many things that you have control over, and so communication with your client is extremely important, and knowing that just because it doesn't go through on the first deal doesn't mean it's not going to go through. It just means you move on to the next one, and that's okay. It's a roller coaster and we love it. The sixth and final competency is about managing your money. You already learned from day one that the paycheck you get upon closing is not going to be put in your pocket and spent. There are expenses to pay and the ever-present taxes that must be saved for and paid every quarter. There is a great KW University course for you to take called Profitability Agent Financials. Most likely it will be offered at the regional or international level. If you guys want more information on that, let me know. I've taken it and it is wildly helpful because it breaks all of the different costs down for you and helps you manage your money and get ahead of things, which especially in your first year when things are not very regular yet, it's very important.
What was that course called?
It's called Profitability Agent Financials. I'll drop it in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You said that course is on the KWU, or is it a course we sign up for?
KW University. So yeah, KW.
Thank you.
I have a question on the listing agreement. If you are an agent representing a buyer, you always ask for a letter of approval, bank approval, to make sure that the person is qualified to,
Yeah, I would say that financing is probably financing and inspections are probably the 2 biggest holdups of any transaction that I've seen on my end. Again, I'm not an agent, but on my end, from what I've heard, word of mouth, financing and the inspection period are the 2 things that will kill a deal the fastest. So we do highly recommend that your buyers get pre-approved first before they find the house, so that you know that they will actually get approved and you don't do all that work for nothing.
Now, coming to the agent representing the seller, how do you know that the seller is ready to sell and that that property is indeed, everything is clear through the bank or whatever, that it actually he can sell it before you go ahead and sign a listing agreement. Maybe there are contingencies and so on that the house cannot be sold. Well, what proof do you need to get from the seller before you
That
sign
I'm
the
not
agreement?
entirely sure of. That goes a little bit farther into the realm of documentation than I personally know, since I'm not licensed. But I would recommend, if you have the opportunity to hop on office hours at 4 o'clock after this, Mara and Aaron could definitely answer that.
Do you perhaps know, like, if there is some sort of issue with title, like a cloud or something, would that come up when you meet with title, or is that something that is similar to what he is asking? Like, would the seller's agent clear all of that prior? You don't know?
Again, unfortunately, that's just a little bit beyond me, since I haven't been active before. But are you guys available at 4 o'clock to hop on office hours? Perfect. Okay. And I am so sorry. And I am actually 2 hours into my 150 hours. So the next round of Ignite, I'll be able to answer that question.
Woohoo!
I know, I just started. So wish me luck.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. So we're good on that. Okay, so there's another essential component to this job, and it's mindset. Your mindset each and every day, which I know that you guys talked about on day one, and you've got the KW belief system along with the 6 personal perspectives to keep you strong. I'd say mindset during the 2 years of COVID, mindset was something we talked about on almost every single meeting that I was on, whether it was local, regional, international, everyone was talking about mindset. And it got a lot of people through, especially considering we had 2 years of a market no one had ever seen before. So it's important to keep your mindset programmed to success and continue to believe in yourself. There may be days when you feel less accomplished and you'll need to pull yourself up and keep going, but maintaining your mindset focused on being of service will help get you through the things that you can't control. Adopting a mindset and a philosophy of contributing to the lives of other people allows you to be direct and to the point in your interactions with others. With a focus on contribution and being of service, you'll communicate more effectively with customers and win their hearts and minds effortlessly. Energy, enthusiasm, and a deeply rooted belief in doing the best possible job for each and every customer attracts people to you. Take every opportunity to educate the people in your personal, professional, and social life about what you do and how you can help them. These reminders for people in your network can lead to many, many referrals or businesses. I can't even tell you how many of my agents will talk about the fact that they've made lifelong friends through this job, through this business that they run. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, when if I had 6 agents lined up in a row and I had to pick one, I'd go for the one that I want to go to happy hour with or go to a soccer game with. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go for the emotional, but if you guys know about discs yet, I'm a high I, so it makes sense. But the people that you get in your corner and the great experiences and relationships that you build with the clients that you have, that'll churn business for you. Because when you give somebody A++++, they want you to give that to their friend, and they want you to give that to their mom, and they want you to give that to their friend down the street, you know? So it's really important to allow yourself to be personal and really dig deep in those conversations. All righty, so now we're going to discuss some realities about being a real estate agent. How long on average do you think that it takes to get a buyer or a seller to sign a contract for a sale or a listing? Any guesses?
90 days.
90 days?
I'm going to say 45.
45? We're right in that pocket. We're right in that pocket. Anywhere from 1 day to 60 days to 90 days. You never know. That's the fun part. It was a trick question. It depends on how much time you put into your lead generation every day and how many appointments you go on to get signed contracts. We also talk a lot in real estate. We talk about touches. And so if if you put them in your database and on different marketing campaigns, they'll already be getting multiple touches, seeing you as an expert. And that way, when you go to that appointment, it's going to decrease that amount of time and how many times that you have to sit with them before they're going to sign that contract. So like a lot of this business, it's a variable. And then how long does it take for a transaction to close and for you to get paid? This is the important question.
About 60 days.
About
Yeah,
60 days,
I'd say 45 to 60.
45 to 60. Perfect, right in that pocket, anywhere from 30 to 60 days. A lot of that is determined by the inspection, if there's any repair addendums, and then the financing, which again is why pre-approval is great because it can speed up the process a little bit. And I'm not going to ask the third question because the third question's silly. It's like, how quickly do you want to get paid? Everyone wants to get paid yesterday, right? I mean, that one's just silly, but yes, we want to get paid right away. It can't be stressed enough how important it is that you develop your skills in these areas so that you can get paid and be successful in this business. And I'm just going to repeat those 6 one more time. Lead generate, build your database, communicate with people, commit to going on a lot of appointments, practice conversations, and focus on your mindset. Remember the quote from yesterday, anyone can do it, but not everyone will. Will you? And another quote from Shift, Gary Keller's book, which we've been talking about so much lately. To achieve your highest potential, these 6 core competencies must be done consistently and done well. And consistency is huge. Consistency is a big thing as well, because you don't want to put all of your effort into something and do a lot towards marketing and lead generation for like 60 days and then go on vacation for a month. A lot of real estate is building momentum, and you've got to keep that momentum going, because if you do, you'll start knocking things out of the park. Does anybody have any ahas from the 6 core competencies? Is there anything that you thought was surprising as important, or is there something that is more important than you thought it would be? Anything you're not excited about?
I think it is just the importance of lead generation, because that's where everything revolves around. Yeah.
100%. If you don't have leads, you don't have a business. And I want to just qualm maybe a potential hang up, because I know that as soon as you mention lead generate, people are like, I don't want to cold call. And I don't blame you, because I don't either. Fortunately, there are a ton of ways to lead generate. There are so many, it's absolutely nuts, honestly. There are people who thrive off of cold calling. There are people who only do direct mailers and door knocking. That's the beauty of this business, is you get to build it the way that you want to see it. So you don't, because if I was there, I wouldn't do it. But as long as you're lead generating in some way, you will go far. Alrighty, now that we've introduced the 6 core competencies and you know the essentials of what your job as a real estate agent entails, there are 2 ways that you can serve your clients: as a functionary or as a fiduciary. I actually really like this section, because the first time I taught it, I was like, oh, So we learned earlier how important it is to maintain a mindset focused on being of service. Let's imagine doing business with a company, for example, a car repair company. And they don't really care about your needs. They just focus on getting the job done and getting paid, getting you out the door as quickly as possible. They don't build a relationship with you or stay in touch during the job or after the job. Now, with that in mind, let's imagine doing business with a different car repair company. This one listens to you. It anticipates your needs, helps you make decisions, educates you on the entire process. I'll be there in just a minute. Oh, thank you, Serena. Sorry, multitasking. This one listens to you, anticipates your needs, helps you make decisions, educates you on the entire process, and acts like a partner throughout the process, keeping you updated on the status of the work, and even follows up with you after the job is done. What is the difference? The first company is acting as a functionary. The second company is acting as your fiduciary. Your role as a respected and successful agent is to be the fiduciary. So now we're going to go over the difference. In The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, another Gary Keller book, he explains a functionary is one who is in a specific task relationship with their clients. They do the job, they get the job done. While a fiduciary is one who not only does the task of the job, they are also in a high trust relationship with their clients and feel total responsibility for the outcome. This is especially important in real estate when people are making their most expensive purchase, which we talked about earlier. I think that was kind of, why would a prospective buyer or seller prefer to work with an agent who presents themselves as a fiduciary versus a functionary? Does anybody have any guesses?
I think that personal relationship, that closeness, the confidence that you build in the process.
Absolutely. 100%. It's rooted in the fact that the fiduciary places their clients' interests ahead of all others, even their own. You're getting paid as a fringe benefit. You're there to help them, and they can feel that. Obviously, we still want to get paid, but you know what I mean. And this means win-win or no deal, which we talked about earlier. If the transaction does not benefit the client, it's no deal. You're not just there to get paid, you're there to help them. Being a fiduciary is a big deal, and it's more important than ever in today's market to wear this badge of honor proudly. Helping your clients understand your fiduciary role is a big part of what you offer as an agent. There's a lot of agents in Lane County, and you have to think about what is going to set yourself apart and make them pick you. What makes you the fiduciary of choice is what we talk about a lot. Okay, so give me just a minute. They've got an activity here, and it's an in-person one, so I have to figure out how to adjust this for Zoom really quick. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go through the first 5 core competencies, and I need one person to call out a way that you could serve as a fiduciary for that competency. So the first one is lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. How do you function as a fiduciary and not just a functionary?
Well, you ask questions, you get curious and figure out what they are looking for and what their needs are, not what your needs are.
That is perfect. Perfect to a T. I have no notes. Number 2, present to buyers and sellers and get agreements.
I would say to be super thorough in your explanation, and even though you might understand something well, make sure they do as you walk through something.
That is 100% perfect as well. It's about educating your client and not just getting them to sign the contract. It's making sure that you give them 100% of all of the information that you can. That was perfect, Skylar. Number 3, show buyers and market sellers. This one's a little trickier. It's not quite as cut and dry. For this one, it would really be about advising your seller to consider multiple offers to have the most beneficial outcome. Because it's not always going to be that first offer that's the best offer or that's going to get them where they need to go. Say they're trying to buy a vacation home and you set the sale price and somebody comes in $10,000 under asking and they're like, oh, well, you know, we need to make sure it sells, so let's go ahead and take it. And it's like, no, you don't have to take the first offer. If this is not what you want, you don't have to accept it. And just giving them support in making those decisions. What about number 4, writing and negotiating contracts?
I feel like that one is really about making sure that the clients understand what it is they're signing, not just, sloughing that off because you don't want to take the time to go through, section by section, but like really giving good, clear communication about what the section in the contract is about.
I would agree.
Absolutely.
One more thing, like making sure you understand it well enough to be able to explain it.
Absolutely, because realistically, why are they hiring you? Right? They can read a contract, they can sign it. You are there to be the expert. You are there to have their back and to see the things that they don't know to watch for. So that is a very good, important point, Skylar. And 100% true, D. And last one, coordinating the sale to closing. This one's kind of a trick one, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you. This one is partnering with your client who's buying a home and hiring trustworthy vendors. So they're relying on you again to be the expert. So a lot of what we talk about is building your support bench behind you. Your like a home inspector that you trust, a lender that you trust, a roofing company that you trust, and that way you can recommend them to your clients with high confidence and knowing like, hey, I'm an expert in this field and they're an expert in theirs. And you might have 2 or 3 that you go with because obviously people get busy, but having those people that you vetted, that you trust, and you know is going to take care of your clients also speaks to your business as well.
I have a question around this.
Yeah.
Do the market centers have their, a list of people that they love to work with that for new agents, that kind of vetting process could be super lengthy. So are there lists that have been accumulated by more tenured agents?
Yeah, so yes and no. Each location definitely has people that we work with frequently. You can always reach out to the head of the office. It's not necessarily on a list, but they're people that we partner with for events frequently. But what I recommend, and we still have people who've been with us for 15 years who do this, because even if you have your preferred person, like I said, sometimes they're busy, and each location has an internal mastermind page where people can post and ask for help and stuff. And I'll have people, like I said, someone who's been in the business for 15 years will be like, hey, my usual home inspector is booked out for 3 weeks. I really need to make it happen this week. Who do you recommend? And that way it's people who are currently actively working with them and not necessarily someone who was recommended a year ago. You know what I mean? So I would recommend either that or just reaching out to the front desk. Either one of those, you'll be able to get some options.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Good question. You know what? I was doing so good without like typos out of my mouth, and now it's starting and we're only halfway through, guys. So we'll see how this goes. Alrighty. So let's talk about how you can serve as a fiduciary for the 6th core competency of a business, managing the money. Managing your money means being responsible about how you handle your finances. Would you trust someone with such a high dollar purchase if they can't manage their own finances? Probably not. In addition to giving you validity, managing your own money leads to financial security. Financial security provides you the freedom to be discerning about which real estate transactions you become involved in or not. That's the very interesting thing about working with the general public, is that it's the roll of the dice of the kind of person that you're working with. And I have had some agents fire some clients before, and you do have the freedom to do that. But by managing your money, it gives you even more freedom to pick and choose who you work with. There may be times you choose to decline a deal, just like what I was saying, because it doesn't allow you to remain in high integrity with yourself or your client. Yesterday, or the other class, session 1, we introduced the KW belief system, the Y4C2Ts, which is your guidepost for asking or for knowing how to serve as a fiduciary for your clients. What are your ahas from this section about functionary versus fiduciary? Did everybody already know what those meant? Because I didn't before teaching this class.
I suppose what we are saying is being a fiduciary, that's the way to go, especially in this type of business. The functionary aspect, I don't think you'll get anyone very far because people will soon realize that the relationship is transactional rather than personal, and protecting the interest of the buyer, because that's really what we're meant to do, to service our clients and make sure that at the end of our relationship with them, we still maintain that relationship for future other business referrals and other things.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's, we're in a business of relationships, because I'm sure that you guys have all bought a car before. You've been on a car lot, you know what that feeling is when they're just trying to close that deal and get you out the door as quickly as possible. And it's our job as well, eventually it'll be my job, but it's your job as an agent to make sure that they do not feel that way. In this section, you'll be introduced to your daily success system, which is part of your daily Ignite course. The success system gets you in the habit of lead generation while in the company of your fellow Ignite participants, your facilitator, and others in the Market Center. We're going to kind of go do an overview of it, but you'll be tackling that on your next class. You've already learned that your first core competency is lead generation, and we already talked about without leads, your business cannot sustain itself. In The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Gary Keller states, what you have to embrace is the fact that it is the number of qualified leads you have that will either grow your business, keep your business, or put you out of business. Nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads that you have. Why do you think that cultivating leads are so essential to the success of your business? I think we already kind of went over this earlier, so I'm not going to pause too long on that, but we already talked about it. If you don't have leads, you don't have a business. There's nothing to work on, there's no income coming in, there's no money to manage, nothing. Although lead generation and lead follow-up are the most important priorities you have when running and growing a thriving business, sometimes they may feel uncomfortable to do, especially as a new agent. Feeling at ease when talking to people you know and don't know about how you can help them with their real estate needs is a skill that takes time to develop. One of the best ways to feel more comfortable communicating with potential leads is by role-playing and practicing with most common conversations you will be having with your clients, potential clients, and other agents involved with the transaction. It's also imperative to have an accountability system in place to support your consistency in lead generation and follow-up. In the first session of Ignite, we introduced the 6 personal perspectives, and today we elaborated on them. One of the important ones we're going to talk about now is being accountable. There's a quote from a book by Gary Keller and his team, The One Thing. Accountable people achieve results only others can dream of. Others can only dream of. Okay, I'm dyslexic now. Accountability is a crucial part of achieving your goals. When you report to someone else on your progress to your goals, you gain more focus and motivation. Think of accountability as a process. It is difficult to maintain drive over the long term, but when you must defend your activities to an objective observer, it becomes easier to stay focused. Accountability is about getting and implementing feedback. You must take time on a regular, planned basis to meet with whoever is holding you accountable, to look at your numbers and refocus your efforts. Speaking of accountability, you can't do it alone. For this reason, in Ignite, we partner up with another participant to help each other succeed. One of the great benefits of having an accountability partner is that it increases your productivity and keeps you on track and in check with your goals. You will provide accountability for your partner, and your partner will provide accountability for you. We suggest that you follow these guidelines that are also listed in your participant guide when you provide and receive accountability. The most important thing is provide a safe space to share, because accountability doesn't work if you're not being honest. Follow through with the action items, listen and pay attention while the other person shares, set frequency of checking in with each other, dig deep to find out why you do the things that you do, respect each other and the process, create a commitment and stick to it, be open to receiving feedback, give specific feedback, and have each other's best interests in mind. Earlier, you heard everyone introduce themselves, and so now I'm going to have you guys maybe talk amongst yourself, maybe you shoot some information in the chat, and I want you to pick somebody to be your accountability partner just for this week. Does anybody already have one? Does anybody need one?
I need one.
I need one also.
Alrighty, so
Mm.
Ken and Marley, do you guys want to drop your information in the chat box?
Sure.
Caitlin needs one too. I love it.
Mhm.
Me too.
I need one.
Alrighty.
Is there somebody in the Southern Oregon office in this class right now?
I think Cleo, you're with Southern Oregon, right?
I am.
Fantastic. How do you feel about partnering up with Dee for the next week?
Sounds great.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Can I just say I really appreciate that you guys are actually talking to me. I've taught this class more than once, and this is just like really nice. Thank you. Anybody else in Sunset Corridor? Pizzo, are you with Sunset or Capital City?
Capital City.
Capital City. Do we have any other capital cities?
Yeah, I'm with Capital City as well.
Alrighty, so let's have you and Pizzo partner up. And then did we have any other capital city? Or Sunset Corridor, sorry.
I'm Sunset.
You're Sunset?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Perfect. So let's do Skylar and Martine. And then Cleo and Dee, Pizzo and JR. And then we still have Caitlin, Marley, and Kenneth. Do you guys, since there's 3 of you and we have an odd number, how do you guys feel about the 3 of you taking it for the week? Perfect. Thank you, Caitlin. You're amazing. Oh my goodness, that was so successful. I'm in shock. Fantastic. So after we get off of this class, because we are going through it, this is one of the quicker classes. I would highly encourage you guys to connect via texting and maybe set how you do want to do those check-ins, whether it's through texting or a call, how often you want to do it. But just setting that would be great. Marley, it was you, Kenneth, and Caitlin. You're welcome. Yay. Okay. In your participant guide, you'll see a list of 6 questions, and in the coming days, each time you check in with your accountability partner, you're going to each ask the other these 6 questions to help them assess their progress towards their completion of the success system activities. And these are listed in your participant guide, but to review, how did you do? How do you feel about that? Did you have any opportunities for improvement? How will you address those opportunities? What were your wins? And how will you celebrate your wins? Because that's another thing that's really important when you're launching yourself into something new, is that you have to allow yourself, even if you're not where you thought you were, you have to celebrate your wins, no matter how small, because it's the best way to keep yourself motivated and moving forward. Another very important duty of accountability partners is to role play conversations every day. Be certain to set up a time to do this. I recommend at least like 30 minutes to an hour if you have the chance. Some partners agree to call each other every morning, and some people do it a couple of times a week. It's whatever works best for you guys, as long as you do it. This is a great time to expand your confidence with asking forward questions or offering more value, or for following up on a social post. Make good use of this time together. Top agents report they continue to practice conversations daily. Okay, in the first session, we introduced the success system, which we provided you in a tracker in your participant guide as another method of accountability that we will be using during Ignite. Okay, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. It is a quote by Peter Drucker, who's a famous business consultant. The success system may seem like a tall mountain to climb, and it can be achieved by measuring and improving every day. Top agents measure their important numbers so they can improve. Start measuring now and condition yourself into this habit. You'll be happy you did. And I actually have a great example of one of our agents who joined us. He was in his second year in the business, and his first year in the business, he didn't keep track of anything. He had no idea how many closings he did. He had no idea how many appointments he went on. And because he didn't keep track, he had no way to measure his growth or success. And again, we were talking about being able to celebrate your wins, even if you're not where you want to be. If you're not keeping track of what you've done, it's impossible to do that. Okay. The first activity on the daily success system tracker is to engage in 10 conversations with people that you know. You may wonder what you should say in your conversations. Recall that the other day they introduced the Ford method to you, which is an approachable way to start a conversation with someone in your sphere of influence. Does anybody remember? Well, I can't really say that. I can't say what does Ford stand for because it's on the screen, but family, occupation, recreation, dreams. And this was what we were talking about earlier in your, it was lead generation and capturing. This is how you capture all of that information, because when you find out that for their occupation, during COVID, they started working 50% from home. What does that tell you? That tells you they might need a third bedroom for a home office. You know, stuff like that. That's why these questions are really important. It helps you really build what it is they could be looking for. The Ford method works because it puts the focus on the other person, shows that you care about the other person, and puts their mind at ease because it is a stressful conversation, which we talked about earlier. And what are questions you could ask a member of your sphere about their family, about their occupation, their recreation, and their dreams? Besides the Ford method, you can always share gratitude and appreciation with the people you know. They will appreciate you for it. There's some best practices as well. Ford is not an interview or an interrogation, which is why practicing it is really important, so it feels more organic. It is meant to stimulate a conversation, which is a two-way dialogue. So yes, you will be listening a lot, but you also will be talking too. When you use Ford, your role is to ask a question and then listen carefully without interruption. Then make comments, add your own thoughts, and ask more probing questions. What's really important there too is really listening, listening to respond. I know that a lot of us will have a habit of thinking about our next response while someone is talking, but a lot of times they'll either pick up on that or you'll miss something that they said that was really important. So make sure it's okay to take a pause if you're going to internalize what they said before you come up with your response. Asking more questions is especially important, and they must be appropriate questions. For example, when a person answers an occupation question with, well, I got laid off and I'm on unemployment, you wouldn't jump right into a recreation question. It's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an organic conversation. So obviously at that point, you don't want to be insensitive and rude. You're going to shift the conversation towards, how can I help? I can ask around and find out who's hiring if that works for you. Also, if they got laid off, it might affect their pre-approval odds, but we'll get to that later. Likewise, if a response to an occupation question is, I just started a new job, you wouldn't respond with, so what do you like doing for fun on the weekend? You would ask, how's that new job going? Are you liking it? Blah, blah, blah. Does everybody feel pretty comfortable with Ford? I know today isn't the first time we talked about it. Cool. Getting a nod from is it Martine?
It's Martine.
Martine. Okay, cool. I thought so, but before I just kept saying it out loud incorrectly, I figured I'd ask.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so now we're going to look at the example of a conversation using the Ford method to inform people that you are a real estate agent. Okay. So who wants to do a role play with me really quick? I ask questions, you just give responses that potentially make sense.
I'll do it.
Yay, thank you, Dee. By the way, I work for Southern Oregon too, so you and I will talk. So, role play time. Oh, it's been some time since we've talked. How is the family doing these days? Have the kids gone back to school? How old is your youngest now?
Do you want real answers or do you want, like to play with this conversation? Just on the side note.
Good. Well, I mean, if a real answer fits, then yes.
Okay. They don't. So, because my kids are adults, but yeah, the kids are going back to school in 2 weeks. Can't wait.
That's incredible. I bet you're excited to have some time off. My kids are back in school too, and they're all healthy, so that's good. Where are you working now? Are you working from home or back at the office?
Still working from home. Still working.
Ooh, that is freaking awesome. A lot more freedom, huh?
Yeah, the boss is pretty particular about keeping eyes on screen though during work hours. So
Yeah, that makes it tough. There's a little more, a little stricter accountability, huh?
there is. Yeah.
And I actually decided to get into a new business recently. I've become a real estate agent, and I'm really excited about helping people achieve their dream of home ownership. It's keeping me busy, and yet I'm still hiking as much as I can. Since you hike, do you have any recommendations? Are you hitting the trails this weekend?
Yeah, actually we're going out to the coast and doing a nice little 3-mile hike right along the bluffs.
Heck yes. Oh my gosh, that sounds incredible. We should check that out sometime.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Are you planning to travel at all this next year?
Yes, we are taking the RV and heading out to Mount Rushmore.
Ooh, that's incredible. I love that.
Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait. Let's take the kids out of school and just go.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. Well, it was great catching up with you, and I wanted to let you know about my real estate business, but I'd love to tell you more later because I know you've got a lot on your plate. Would you be able to meet for coffee soon so we could talk about that hike also?
Absolutely. I'd love to hear about your real estate career.
Fantastic. I will shoot you a text and we'll get something set up.
Great.
Woo-hoo! See how easy that was?
Lying to you though.
Huh?
Just lying to you. My kids are all adults, married off.
But see, it was even easy then. So imagine how easy it would be if it wasn't. But it's really organic, and it feels really weird at first to talk about yourself and be like, hey, I opened up this new business, blah, blah, blah. But realistically, what I always remind myself of is if I had a friend who opened up their own business and they never told me because they were too shy, so I couldn't support them in their business, I would be upset. So I try and think of it that way, like the people who love you and support you want to support you in your business, or they should anyway.
On that same note though, that if you're outgoing enough to be talking about the fact that you're selling real estate, that kind of is a clue to people that you're going to be out there promoting and selling and talking about their property. I think it's a very positive thing.
Absolutely.
Be out there with it. So
you're showing them your skill as a salesperson, because eventually you get to the point where you're doing the buy or the sale of the house, but at the beginning you're selling yourself.
yes.
So that is a great point. It is absolutely a demonstration of your skills. Yeah. Okay, so has everybody seen Command before? I'm getting a nod from Martine and Dee. What about you, Kenneth? I saw that flash unmute.
Yes, I've seen.
Yes, okay. Has everybody
Yeah.
had the chance to look at contacts before?
Yes.
Perfect. It is, of all sections of command, in my opinion, the contact section is one of the more intuitive ones. You add the contact, everything that has to go in there is starred red. Nobody's ever done anything like that before. But like we talked about earlier, when you do go to add that contact, it does give you all of those options. Main phone, email, address, if their mailing address is different, so maybe they have a PO box. The more information you add in there, the more things command can do for you. So even though you only have to do the starred stuff, I thoroughly recommend you fill out as much as you can. Okay.
Is there a place for notes in command? You know, like,
Yes, like notes on your contact.
yeah, because it's like sometimes you meet so many people and you're talking to them. It's really, I've found in the past, it's great to have just jot down a few things that they talked about that they were interested in, so that when you call back, or you can follow up with that.
Absolutely. So can you, I can't remember, did I share my entire second screen? Can you see this moving, or can you just see the PowerPoint?
Both now.
Full thing. Okay. Hey, I don't know I put him in there. That's so funny. That's my fiance, which is why it's all blank. So I believe, so in here, when you go into the contact, there's this timeline. And in the timeline, you can add an activity. Hey, I called him, I emailed him, blah, 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 blah. If you didn't actually sit down with him or whatever, you could just write a note. Received letter in the mail to say thank you for transaction, blah, blah, blah. And then it'll add in there on your timeline. So whenever you're communicating with people, you can absolutely have this up. And I believe that the contact section of the app works now, because they're obviously continually updating stuff, but you should be able to do it on the go within the KW Command app. So if you say you meet with somebody and you're like, oh man, I want to write this down before I forget, you should be able to just hop in your car real quick, go to that timeline and add that activity. And if you use the command technology like Smart Plans, which is digital marketing and stuff, if you have them set up on a smart plan, it will show up in this timeline, so you can see every time they've been touched.
Cool, thank you for sharing
You're
that.
very welcome. Yay! Okay, 1 for 3 of my questions today. Yay, I love it. Okay. Okay, so we just did that. All righty, what are your ahas from today? Anything you're super excited about? Anything you're kind of nervous about that you don't feel super strong in yet?
I'm just excited to get going, to get this stuff going and kind of start playing with all of these things in command. I think it's like so organized, and I really like that. I like complete organization. So
I'm an OCD person myself, so I really enjoy the tagging and the color coding.
yeah,
It's helpful for me.
get that.
Okay. So now we've come to the end of our lesson for today. Before we hop off, remember that each day in Ignite, you will grow in how you think, feel, act, and implement what you've learned. From learning and ahas, you move toward the achievement of your big life. And that's why we're here, right? So taking the time to reflect on what you've learned is important in building your confidence and celebrating your growth. What I'm going to do before we hop off is I'm going to have you write down one question that you had that came out of today and one thing that you are excited most about. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Appreciate you all. You all are great. Thanks for talking and actually engaging. It was great. And you guys are amazing. And you have my information in the chat. If you ever, like I said, even if you're not in one of my 2 locations, I either am the person or know the person. So if you ever have any questions or need any help with anything, please let me know. And yeah, have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Thank you.